Welcome to Women of the Wise Path, a place for fostering open discussions about womanhood in our new world paradigm. We are a collective of holistic practitioners, coaches, and leaders devoted to supporting women as we navigate the shifting landscape of our times. Through conversations on health, culture, spirituality, motherhood, partnership, business, and transformation, we intend to spark connections, bridge generations, and share wisdom about what it means to support women of today. Welcome to Women of the Wise Path.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Women of the Wise Path. And today I have the pleasure of talking to Laurie Parente. And Laurie is a medium, a spiritual healer, an intuitive guide, and a transformational coach dedicated to empowering individuals on their journey of self-discovery and healing. With over a decade of experience in the field, Laurie brings a unique blend of intuitive insights, spiritual wisdom, and compassionate support to her work. And we'll be talking more about Laurie's work. But welcome, Laurie. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful to be here.
So, Women of the Wise Path, we like to bring in people to kind of share their insights and their understanding of what it means to be a woman today, how we can really embrace our divine feminine. But you and I were talking about what about the divine masculine and how do we bring that in as well?
Right.
So tell me a little bit about your thoughts on balancing divine feminine and masculine. What does that mean to you?
Well, for a long time, the masculine has been out of balance, and we have really focused on it and called it the toxic masculine and all of these things. And it's kind of led to a little bit of a victim mentality and maybe a little bit of the forgetting that it's not about gender, it's about the masculine and the feminine within each and every one of us. So when we remember that if the masculine is out of balance, the feminine is also out of balance, then we can start to look at where do we need to bring it into balance. And we know that any kind of change happens from within first.
Right. So what does it mean to you when we say that we're balancing the masculine and feminine? I know, we've always, there's been this big push over the last decade or more to really empower women, to let women's voices be heard, to bring in that equality for women and all of that. But my feeling has been that the masculine has been kind of shoved aside and denigrated, like
Right.
you're not as good as the women. You've been terrible, you've been mean, you've been destructive and abusive, and we don't want to deal with you anymore. And I'm like, wait a minute, we
Right.
can't be complete without both. We need divine masculine and divine feminine. So just what does that bring up for you when I talk about that?
I think that when we're first starting our healing journey and we're starting to come back home to who we are without all of the stories and the experiences and just finding the wisdom in that life has given us so far, I think it's natural at first to kind of separate ourselves a little bit and just really be looking at those divine feminine qualities. Am I compassionate? Am I kind? Am I healing? Am I got an open heart? And I think it is natural to kind of separate ourselves for a bit, but then we come back to, but what about the masculine tendencies that I want to bring to balance to hold the space for all this beautiful femininity that I'm bringing in, that I'm reclaiming?
Yeah. To me, feminine is that nurturing, receiving, um, you know, I don't even know. It's not building, but it's really holding space for the masculine. And the masculine is that action protection energy. We couldn't be divine feminine without divine masculine
Right.
being there to support us as well as we support them. It's got to be that equal um, looking out for each other and honoring each other,
Right.
and not feeling that one has to be more powerful than the other to feel like they are worthy or important enough.
Right.
And
It,
this is where
yeah.
I was just going to say one more thing. This is where I feel like so many women feel that if they give any honor or, you know, love to the divine masculine, that they're going to have to denigrate themselves. They're going to have to devalue themselves. And that's just not true.
Right. So it's really a learned behavior of shrinking and the unworthiness and keeping yourself small. When you asked me about this topic, I wrote down some characteristics that I felt were for the divine masculine, and this is, something I think that we all want in our lives. We want responsibility, honor, humility, generosity, mindfulness, wisdom, discernment, balance, selflessness, presence, and peace. And that's what I wrote down about the divine masculine. So we need to have those qualities in order to move forward with purpose and with our voices and with our hearts open.
Mm-hmm. So when we talk about balancing the divine masculine and feminine within each of us, how does a woman begin to do that?
I always go back to my shamanic training, and it's always about healing that inner child, healing the wounds that nobody gets out of childhood or teenage or the early adult years without some wounds, right?
Right.
And many times we don't have the emotional bandwidth to deal with them when they happen. So at some point in life, they come a knocking, and we've got some behaviors, some patterns coming out, and why am I doing this? And so we do a little soul retrieval and find out, oh, well, this happened when we were 7, and that's why, and now it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that bringing ourselves back into balance with all of our experiences, and then we can always take it one step further and look at the ancestral stuff as well, right?
Right. Right. So getting rid of that childhood trauma, getting
Right.
rid of all
Yeah.
of those places where we feel we're not good enough, we don't measure up, we did it wrong.
I would say
And
more not getting rid of, but more integrating. I always like to think of it as the experience was like a diamond got forged through the struggle, and we're carrying the diamond of the wisdom instead of the struggle. So we can look back and with neutrality, oh, that happened, and that's why I am someone who has a beautiful voice now. We can look back, what did that struggle turn into the diamond for you?
right. When I think about the 70s, the 80s, even into the 90s, there was such a huge push for women to be more masculine
Yeah.
in order to succeed in business. The only way that they could prove themselves was to work twice as hard and act like a man, dress like a man, be more masculine,
Mm,
um, because that's what was valued.
right.
And so that's not really what we're talking about here. Divine masculinity is not looking or acting like a man. It is, what does divine masculinity mean to you?
Mm.
Throwing all these tough questions at you.
Yeah, I think it's divine masculinity to me is the container for who we are, that holds our boundaries, that holds our beliefs, our our emotional flexibility, all those things that we need in order to find our softness and our compassion and our kindness, and to live from our hearts instead of having this centered thinking world, which AI is showing us that is the easiest intelligence to replicate. So
Mhm.
go ahead, replicate that intelligence of the mind, but let's bring our hearts online. And so the divine masculine to me is always like the figure of Archangel Michael, with the sword and the shield. Just I'm not, I don't love the word protection, but just that kind of boundary around who you are and how you
Mhm.
express yourself. What does it mean to
Yeah.
you? divine masculine?
That feeling safe. Yeah. Divine masculine to me is the doing of who you are, the implementing of your dreams, your desires, your purpose, going forward with courage and strength. To
Right.
me, that's your divine masculine energy, whereas divine feminine is more being, not holding back, but allowing and receiving the inspiration for those big ideas,
Right.
receiving support when you need it. So if you only receive, you just kind of fade away. But if you only push forward all the time, you burn out.
Right.
So you have to have that balance of those two. Does that
So
make sense? Or...
for the divine feminine, it's about receiving the information, discernment, and flow. And then the
Mhm.
masculine is how you implement that. And so take that also with what I was saying with the container. It's the container that allows you to be who you are and to do what you need to do with all of
Mhm.
those inspirational downloads that you're receiving.
Mhm. Awesome, awesome. So let's talk about some day-to-day experiences where you might want to check, am I balanced? Am I in the flow, and am I also balanced with my divine masculine?
Mhm.
So, I mean, it could be as simple as getting up and getting the kids ready for school. How do you have that balance of masculine and feminine without, and is it okay to maybe sometimes be really all masculine and the other times be really all feminine?
I think it's a continuum and a flow, right? If you've got 10 tasks you need to do to get the kids out the door to school, you're going to be focused on that. And then the feminine side of you is doing it with kindness and is doing it with joy and is bringing in the bliss and the fun and the laughter, right? But it's going
Mhm.
to flow back and forth. One of the ways that I love to check in with myself is, am I trying to push water uphill here? And I
Good
just,
one.
am I fighting against it or am I flowing with it? And
Mhm.
wherever you're trying to push water uphill is a place where you need to look at it and go, how can I make this flow more easily?
Mhm. I love that. I
Mhm.
love that. I think also, your divine feminine nurturing self really kicks in too, even when you're rushing around, getting kids ready for school, with compassion.
Right,
you know, why is Johnny lagging behind today? Is he not feeling well? Has he got something on his mind? Is he scared about something at school? Um, so you allow yourself to pay attention to those intuitive hits, as well as taking care of the tasks that need to be done
right.
and moving forward with that.
Having those moments of check-ins. Oh, this isn't flowing. What's happening
Mhm.
here?
Yeah.
And I think of myself, I have four grown children, but I think of myself in those early years, and I know it always worked best for me if I had time for myself before the kids got up, and if we had extra time. If I knew it would
Mhm.
take 30 minutes to get them all out the door, then we had 40 or 45, just for those moments that you just relayed. Like, and if there's going to be a little glitch and somebody just decides they don't have anything to wear, you're going to need time for that, and kindness and compassion, and look and time to look underneath. What is this really about?
Awesome. Awesome. So one more direction I want to take this conversation is, how does the divine feminine support the divine masculine when we're talking about our partners or the men in our lives, who I feel in many cases are struggling right now
Mhm.
with, not because they don't want women to be equal and have their place, but because they just don't know where they fit in anymore.
Right.
They don't know how to be that supportive person, or they don't know, that my husband used to always tell me, you need to tell me what you want. You can't make me try to figure it out myself, You
Right.
have to be specific. So,
Right. So it's
um,
about being able to have those conversations of, we've got everybody in school this week and there's three extracurriculars, and if I do all that and my work, I'm going to burn out. And where
mhm,
can we support each other and how could we do this together? We're coming off the role of men do certain things, women do certain things, and coming more into that balanced partnership, and that is always started with a conversation. And sometimes those conversations can be very uncomfortable. And when they are uncomfortable, we know that's where we need to be, because in the uncomfortability is where we see relationships grow, right?
mhm,
So I do think men have gotten a bad rap for a little while. It's, not their fault that this masculinity was out of balance, and so was the femininity. But it's just about sharing from your heart and
mhm.
trying and figuring things out together in that true partnership.
I think it's also allowing men to be that masculine without feeling offended by it.
Right.
Whereas we've been almost, you know, almost brainwashed into anytime a man does this or does that, they're they're not honoring your divine feminine. Sometimes it's just as simple as their their way of doing the dishes, or their way of telling you how to fix the car, or telling you that the car needs to be fixed. You
Right.
know, it's like, don't tell me that. I can figure that out myself. Can we, and I feel like that's where men are like, I don't even know what to do anymore, or what to say, or what's safe, what's not safe,
Right.
how to be a man in this world right now. And I know that's not what this group is all about, but I think as divine women, we have to pay attention to that.
Well, as I mean, we know that all the structures are crumbling, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of the divine gender roles are crumbling. And so I think that you're right, that men are struggling. They don't know what to do or what to say. And again, it's a conversation. If we look at, the characteristics that I said for the divine masculine, like, can we give them that responsibility? It doesn't matter how they do the dishes. If they know more about the car and they like doing that, okay, there you go. And figuring out, what works. I think sometimes we get stuck in the I need to do everything myself as women, and I need to know how to do everything. But the divine feminine is all about receiving. So where are you willing to receive help in the partnership? Personally, I have no interest in cars, and my husband loves tinkering with cars. So great, we've figured out that one, right?
Yep.
And just coming um, to balance in what are you open to receive? Because
Mhm.
if you're blocking everything that they're trying to support you with, it's not working out very well. So where are
Right.
you open to receive support? Where are you open to just be like, me? Yeah, good. Cars are yours. Fine, great. Where can you find the balance? Um, ever since I've been married 35 years, and when we first got married, I thought it was my job to do the ironing because my mom always did the ironing. I'm terrible at it, really terrible at it. And my husband stepped in and said, you know what? I think this will be my job. And it's just always been his job because he's very
Wow.
good at it, and he puts on music and he really enjoys it. So, wow, he can do
Mhm.
that, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
So where are you? I think that's the thing. Where are you open to receive support? And if you're not open at all, why? What what
Yeah.
is what is keeping you from accepting that support?
And that's where that balance comes in, that divine feminine energy of allowing and receiving and being vulnerable,
Right.
you know. So,
Being able to say how you really truly feel. And is this a pattern that you learned from your family? Maybe it is, but is it working for you? Maybe not.
hmm, yeah, I love this. Okay. Any anything else you want to say on this topic before we close today? We've covered a lot of ground
Yeah.
here.
I mean, it's always if you're struggling in the external world with something, it's mirroring something for you. So get
Mhm.
quiet and look within and find out what this struggle means to you. And then when you can break that down and find some healing, then you will notice it's much easier to navigate it in the external world.
Perfect. Thank you. I love that. Please share with us your special offer that you have for people today.
So every year, my guides will come through with a word for the year. In 2026, they came through with build. And I said, what am I building? And they said community. It's all 2026 with being the 1 year and the fire horse. It's all about building community. So I do guided healing meditations every Thursday morning online, and I am building that group. And we have a school community where people are starting to get to know each other. So it's every Thursday morning, and I'm offering a free 2-week trial so people can just try it out and see if this is for them. And it's just laurieparente.com/trial.
I will put that in the description notes below the video. And that sounds wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here, Laurie. I love this topic. I love this discussion and all your wisdom that you brought today. And let's stay in touch. I hope people get a chance to really work with you and see everything you have to offer. So
thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And I hope we chat again soon.
We will for sure. You take care.
You too.
Thank you for joining us today for Women of the Wise Path. Continue the journey with more conversation, events, and resources at the address below. We'd love to hear from you and what you would like to talk about. Together, we're shaping a future rooted in wisdom, collaboration, and the infinite power of the feminine spirit. Until next time, may we walk all together the wise path, guided from within.